Guten Tag, my con brethren. How the devil are you? I hope you're all prepped for Christmas. It's just around the corner. Less than 7 days to go. At this point, we should all be stuffed on turkey or whatever it is you're going to be consuming in excess in 6 days' time. And hopefully you're going to be accessing on pop culture because there's plenty of it, isn't there? Of course, you've got yourself the Book of Boba Fett. Oh no, that's after Christmas. That's we've got a bit of a while yet, but we've got Matrix that comes out on Wednesday. Got plenty of stuff that's happening. Andrew English is watching. Hello from London. Hello, Andrew. How are you, sir? Good to have you joining us. What's TF is this Christmas? Well, listen, if you're not in the Christmas spirit, I can invite you to one of my Christmas do's, my Christmas parties, which I've been DJing at. And, you know, that's how all that works. Because my word, I've been doing my fair share of those, which is why we've got some announcements we're going to be talking about very shortly indeed. Into the Bloomisters joining as well. Afternoon all. Hello there. Welcome along. Again, if you are joining us now, it does mean that you are getting the notifications. You either follow me on Twitter and my Twitter notifications rolled around, or you are a subscriber on YouTube or Twitter. And of course, that is very much appreciated. So thank you very much indeed to joining us on and subscribing on that. YouTube at Englishman SDCC, Facebook at An Englishman in San Diego, Instagram and Twitter at Englishman SDCC as well. So there we go. Andrew English, I lost the Christmas spirit. I can remember when I inherited the drinks cabinet and lost the key. Yeah, I can understand and appreciate that. I get that. Well, my kettle's boiled. I have a pile of things to show you. Piles of stuff. Because it's been quite the year. And I'm going to do my best to kind of celebrate that. That's the whole idea. But hopefully, you're going to celebrate with us. And I shall explain why, and indeed, how, very shortly indeed. Let's press play on this. Oh boy, if the question is, can I in fact create a cup of tea in the space of the length of my credits? Yes, I can. That was rather quick. That was a quick brew made of me, so made by me. So there you go. Excellent stuff indeed. Hello there, everybody. Welcome along to Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. We've got a bunch of people who are jumping in already. I can imagine that the numbers are going to be a little bit low on this episode, if anything, because like I say, people are getting themselves ready for Christmas. Everyone's either heading home or they're locking down, as I can imagine. That is kind of the case for a bunch of people. But we do have some people who are joining us. Leanne D is saying, good morning, everyone. Hello, Leanne. Pleasure to have you here. Andrew English is welcome along. And yeah, everyone's kind of saying hello to each other, which is great. And that's pretty much what I'm wanting you to do today. Because what I'm going to do is a slight change of plan. Because we had a guest lined up, which I'm not going to name because he has asked nicely if we don't. But basically, we had ourselves a guest lined up, and his family and his household has been hit by COVID. As it happens, a little bit seriously as well. Mostly, I mean, he's apparently showing asymptomatic, but it's his family and his children in particular. I wish him all the best. I'm not going to mention him by name, but I do hope that he's in fine fettle. I hope a swift and full recovery to the kiddo as well. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're stating there. However, what I am going to do is I'm going to now then take the time to look back at the highlights and the low points of the last 12 months, which may seem a little bit early considering we're still a couple of weeks away from the end of 2021. But that is because next week we are not going to be having a show. As it happens, I've been roped into doing some work. So on the 26th, on Boxing Day, we are not going to be having a show. I said that I was going to try and do something, but I think what we're going to do is take a week off. We will be back on the 2nd of January for a new show. So hopefully you can join us along for that. But this is going to be all about you. It's going to be about what we all kind of get to talk about and things that we've celebrated, like I say, highlights and low points, because it's been a strange year where 2020 was very much a case of all being in this imposed holding pattern where everyone was just kind of placed into this set of stasis, thinking that we may be able to be coming out of lockdown. 2021 has been almost the reverse. It's almost been we are out of lockdown, but not. So we're out of the quagmire, but we're dragging the quagmire around with us, and we're still feeling very held back. So I think it's a case of let's celebrate those moments when we have shed away all of the shackles, and we've done our best to live the best life that we can in this time. In looking back, it's actually proven a bit interesting that I'd certainly through to about April, January, February, March, April, May, I was very much still in that 2029 mindset. I've looked back at my photos and I just kind of still was in lockdown mode. And I think I was just institutionalized by 2020. It's now just it was a case of the summer kicking in and trying to shake off some of that funk. That's what I kind of got to. We're going to get into the stuff that I certainly did to kind of shake all of that away. Considering that we had, my adaptation of my working conditions. I've become myself now not a DJ that happens to working in a warehouse. I'm now a warehouse operative that happens to be a DJ on occasion and go to Comic Cons when I can. So it was just really awkward that first 4 months, but then things started to grow and develop, and we're going to get into all of that. One or two people are asking about other stuff that is happening as well. Did everybody see the movie? I went to saw the movie 4.5 hours ago, so it's still fresh in my mind. Myself and my brother, we went to see Spider-Man No Way Home, and yes, I'm going to talk about that at the end of the episode. But at the end of the day, we're going to I'm holding off on that. We'll save it for the end. It's going to be spoiler free. Don't worry. I'm not going to talk about any kind of spoilers. But I am going to talk about my impressions of the film and what I thought of it, because I was very, very impressed. Into Andrew English watching It's a Wonderful Life, Die Hard, Matrix over the next 3 days at the cinema. Fair play to you, Andrew. I mean, like I say, I've been to see Spider-Man in a cinema. It wasn't exactly empty either. I tried my best to have as much distance as I possibly could, but it was difficult. We did what we could. So that's what we got into. So there we go. But like I say, this is going to be my impressions of 2021. The highlights for myself but I want to hear yours as well. You can do this in several ways. You can jump in on the comments in the chat right now. Over there, chat over there. Jump in and let us know what your highlights of the year have been. I mean, we've got already 1 or 2 people. My highlight of 2021 was cosplaying for the first time. Bravo, taking that step. Congratulations to you into the Blue Mister. Leanne D, my highlight was coming to the UK. It was a fantastic trip. Definitely a bucket list item. Hanging out in Caroline with York was amazing. Yes, well, I mean, absolutely. It was definitely cool. Pro of this year, conventions coming back. Con, missing Leanne as I was at another convention. Yes, you were, sir. But then again, you've been a busy bee. Going to as many shows as you have on both sides of the Atlantic. I've been incredibly jealous. I'm not going to say. So there we go. Right. So, like I say, this is going to be your highlights. Now, you can, like I say, you can make a comment beside and let us know. Or what you can do is actually join us on screen. If you've got a phone, you can jump in on there. You don't have to, you can even turn the camera off and you can just be audio only if you want. We can just hear your voice. Okay. The way you do that is I'm going to put the invite. This is the StreamYard link, and I could really be jeopardizing a lot here because I could have all sorts of trolls who are watching at any point at this point. Yeah. But I want to hear from you guys. I think I've got a really strong audience. We're not talking the trolls that jump in on this particular episode. If you want to jump in, by all means, if you're watching and if you want to share your highlights of 2021, because we have to celebrate this year in the ways that we can. And I'm going to get into all sorts of bits and pieces, which I've got a nice little pile beside me of stuff that I've celebrated personally. So yeah, please do jump in. Let us know what you're up to. Into the Blue Mister was asked, what were you cosplaying as? The Rocketeer. Have I seen pictures of this? Because you know me, I am a huge Rocketeer fan. So please do share pictures of that. I'd like to see that. Michael P, I saw both Andrews. Excellent stuff. Congratulations. Johnny Fitz is watching as well. Johnny, all the best to you, sir. Stay strong. Michael P as well. The second highlight is I met Jacob Mundell, who played Eric on The Expanse. As an Expanse fan as you are, I can imagine that was quite the thing. So there you go. Let's have a look at this. I'm half white, half troll, so I'm guessing I'm out. Not at all. Not at all. Like I say, you don't actually have to be on camera. When you can join, say if you join your phone, it actually asks you which camera you want to use. You can actually turn the camera off, and then we can just hear your voice, which is fine. That's I'm perfectly fine with that. Just if you want to jump on, I'll see you down in the intro. You don't come on straight away, and we can kind of we can work it out through there. You're more than welcome to join us. But like I say, I mean, I don't know if this is going to be a long one or not, but we'll go through. But let's go through a couple of my highlights. Certainly, Sarita P, seeing my con friends after 2 years of not seeing them. Yes, absolutely. Let's see what I can do here. Someone's asked if I can post the link. I believe I can, and I'm going to post it there. Oh, hang on a second. Hang on a second. I want to make sure I post it in the right place. I don't want to just drop it in anywhere. So there we go. If I put it into the comments, there you go. It's there. If you want to copy paste, you're more than welcome. Michael, we'd love to have you on board. Okay. So let's start from the top. Like I say, the first 4 or 5 months, I was still kind of trapped in that funk of 2020, especially considering just how hard it was that year. We were locked down. 2020 Christmas was a non-starter for so many people, and it was just it was so difficult to kind of shake that off. But it was conventions that kind of saved me, as is their wont, and to the point where I Very much got into the virtual cons. Wales Comic Con at the beginning of the year really was the one that kind of got me back into it again. Like I'd say, I've been taken on full time at my new proper job, and then taken on by the training department. So I was very much focusing on getting the job done. But then the conventions, like I say, with coming to taking part in Wales Comic Con, watching Baltimore Comic Con and what they were getting up to. And yes, San Diego Comic Con 2021 Comic Con at home. While it wasn't the big splash that 2020 was, I think it still absolutely scratched the itch for me. If anything, because it concentrated on the artists, it concentrated on comics. The studios stayed away because they didn't have the big mainstream audience that they would usually have. But that was to Comic-Con's benefit. So I think it kind of helped. So there you go. We got Michael P, who's is joining us. Hello, Michael. How the devil are you, sir?
Hey, guys. Can you hear me all right, Leonard?
We can indeed, sir.
Okay.
So yes, it's a pleasure to have you. It's good to see you, man. It really is. It's so good to see you.
Well, it's good to see you too. I went to 3 cons this year.
Did you? Which one?
Yeah.
Which ones did you go to?
San Diego. Well, at first I went to Dragon Con, then San Diego, and C2E2.
Right. Okay. Because I mean, we kind of covered C2E2. What was it, last couple of weeks? And because for me, there wasn't that much social media noise about it, so it was very much in its own little bubble. What was the energy like for yourself? What did you make of C2E2 2021?
It was way smaller than normal. It was nowhere near as crowded, nowhere near as frenetic. Of course, San Diego wasn't either, for that matter. But at least San Diego had 2 outside. No, 3. There were 3 outside that I went to. What do you call those? The 3 outside events. Yeah. The 3 offsites. Chicago, C2E2. They've never had them at C2E2, so that wasn't a big deal. But and I only stayed there 2 days. C2E2, their programming was marginal.
Right.
So I actually had more fun outside than I did inside, because I went to this Starbucks. There's a Starbucks roastery. Okay, it's a roastery. Stories, a 4-story Starbucks that was absolutely amazing. Okay, and then I met Jacob Mondale. Mondale, who's like he was a guest star on season 5 of The Expanse, season 5 of The Expanse. And so I had a chance to meet him, and it was we had a great time. I had a great time talking to him. We had coffee, and so just chatting. But C2E2, the best thing about C2E2 in the old days was you always felt like you were at a party. They had a DJ as you walked in. There's a DJ playing great music, so you felt like you entered a party and you were going to have a good time with friends. And so that was always the best part about it. And then authors, I met some of my favorite authors at C2E2, and they were a lot of fun. Those guys were just great fun. This time around, it was less. I didn't do an Expanse panel, so I was glad I went out there for that. I saw another panel about comic book writing and the ability of people. Do you copyright it? Do you get a trademark? So it was very informative.
The actual mechanics of getting a book published.
Yes. Yeah. And that was wonderful. I mean, I liked those, and it was easy to get into that panel too. It was a nice small panel, and you had a chance to ask questions if you wanted to. I mean, they just interacted with the people there. So, there's something.
Who was on it?
In San Diego.
Who was on that panel?
San Diego made one mistake.
Oh.
They made one mistake with reference to Shang-Chi. They brought in the martial arts master who had choreographed this, and I mean, the person is like, way up here, top of the game, right? The room was full And we had 4 row deep of people outside waiting to get inside. They had grossly underestimated how many people would want to go to that panel because there were other bigger rooms that were just sitting empty. And it was you had to ask yourself, well, why would you do that? Why would you not put them into a big room? You know, but there were so many people who wanted to go see that. And I was puzzled by that kind of mistake, you know.
Right. Fair enough. I mean, I think a number of the shows this year, I mean, they were working with the materials and the planning they had to hand. I mean, a number of the shows, certainly the Reed Pop shows, were working with Skeleton Crew. San Diego Comic Con working with Skeleton Crew. I mean, we've got Clyde Nee, who's watching right now, who's somebody who's deeply involved in San Diego Comic Con. And I personally felt from watching the footage that was brought to us by Toby Tolentino and also by Chuck Cook as well, I got some serious FOMO when it came to Comic Con Special Edition because the aisles were wide. It looked like it was focusing a lot on the artists. I was deeply impressed with what CCI did with that show. I mean, we'll like I say, I was talking about Comic Con at Home and also San Diego Comic Con. What did you make of that show at the convention at San Diego Convention Center?
So you know what was nice? Being able to walk in the exhibit hall, because remember in the old days we didn't walk. You got into the flow. That flow moved you, and then you would slowly, if you wanted to leave, you had to slowly make yourself out to the right, left, and then you would enter another river or stream going that way. You didn't walk. Am I lying, Leonard? You didn't walk.
No, not at all. Not at all.
The flow moved you, and it was so nice to walk and just to be able to chat with people. You know, it was nice. It was nice.
Solistra Smeg, was it just the martial arts guy? Because maybe they thought if there isn't any cast, people might not care. I don't know. From what I was hearing, it was just the martial arts guy, but no, it was definitely something else. From what I could gather, Clydine is jumping in about her comments and about her panel. She hosted a panel about UFOs, and it was closed. The doors were. She had a full room, absolutely full room. And yeah, she's also agreeing as well with your description of how to get around the floor. Salmon swimming upstream is the way that she's describing it.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's interesting, but you know what's great, Leonard, though, is that she pointed out her panel was full. So there were a lot of these smaller panels that people finally had the chance to go to because there were the giant panels. And what you found is people really want to go see those panels. They were really very good.
Absolutely. Andrew English is jumping in as well. He's saying, I was happy all conventions made sure you were vaccinated daily. Not all of them made you wear masks. LA Comic Con was the most crowded with that space between the aisles. Yeah, it was. What else we got? Karen Session, Legal Geeks at San Diego Comic Con Special Edition was full. From what I can gather, pretty much most of the panels were. None of them were left wanting. I think they did so well with that. I mean, I think many people will know from the lead up to Special Edition, I didn't feel it was going to be a show that would deliver, and it just did. It just did. From every aspect of it. It was very, very impressive. We got Leanne D who's joining us as well. Hey, Leanne, how are you?
Hello. Hi, Michael P.
Howdy.
I see your camera's working today.
Yes. And as you guys can see back here, my expanse stuff. Yes, the expanse. And then, all right, I got to show you this too. My expanse T-shirt, of course. Okay.
But of course. I expected nothing else. So, I mean, for yourself, Leanne, I mean, I know the UK show and coming over to the UK was a highlight. But which show did you go to? Any shows in the US? Which ones did you go to?
No, I didn't go anywhere in the US.
No.
I decided to skip the US completely. I mean, first off, because Comic-Con Special Edition came at like the worst time for me, like just after coming back. Of course, I also didn't realize there was going to be tickets still at the door. I probably would have gone, you know, but I spent all my money in the UK, so
I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. I mean, I want to go through the my highlights as well. So we'll quickly cover yourselves. So Michael, those were your highlights. Anything else that definitely jumped out at you? Not just the cons either. I mean, was there anything for yourself in terms of pop culture, in terms of Kickstarters you backed? Is there anything that you were reading? Anything that really kind of made 2021 special for you?
Well, this December, I mean, I think we all agree this December is, in terms of pop culture, is just fabulous. Okay, we got Spider-Man, The Expanse is back, The Witcher's back. We've got Matrix coming up this week. I mean, come on, guys. It's never been this good. And on top of that, The Expanse people, they put the final book in the Expanse series just came out in November. Oh my God! And if there's ever been a perfect book written, it's that one. It's just been a plethora of riches. That part is we're still dealing with with that bad thing. We're not going to even mention its name anymore. We shan't speak its name anymore. Okay, but we're still dealing with that. But you have to admit, I mean, dear God in heaven, look at what we're just look at the sets premiering this month. It's just been wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Well, I mean, myself and my brother were talking about this earlier on today because, like I say, we've been to see No Way Home, and we were talking about the shows and the films that were coming up, and it definitely feels that every studio, because he works as a supporting actor, he also does some standing work as well. So you may be seeing him in Morbius, you may be seeing him in The Flash coming up. He was talking about the fact that there was all this work that was coming in. He's never been so busy, and the industry has been absolutely ramped up. And I turned around and said, because if anything that COVID has shown and lockdown has shown, is that there's then this rabid audience that is there, locked in for all this content, and that content needs to be made. So at the end of the day, the film and television industries are going to make every effort to make sure that the productions barrel on. So this stuff gets made so we can enjoy as we go. And in that regard, the face of pop culture and the landscape has just changed irrevocably, because it is now very much a case of this constant demand of really good quality gear. And like you say, I mean, the standard has been so incredibly high this year.
Well, and I forgot to mention Dune, Leonard, and I don't want anyone to think, because I forgot that to take it away from you. That Dune, I don't know about everybody else, but I love that. That was it was the Dune we needed.
I go along with that. Clydeen says, I think we're coming back because I'm told that the mall traffic is really high. There are actually cars backed up trying to get into the local Fashion Valley and Mission Valley Mall. Is that just Christmas though? I mean, it doesn't matter if we're in lockdown or not. I mean, that's kind of just Christmas as well. Sarita P is reminding us, Boba Fett at the end of the month comes on the 29th to Disney Plus. And I'm with Clydeen on this one. So looking forward to The Matrix. I am torn between either seeing it in IMAX or whether Spider-Man was my IMAX thing and now it's a case of just hanging fire, and maybe seeing it on HBO Max. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Leanne D is saying that she can't keep her phone running on it. Her Wi-Fi is acting up. So Leanne, do jump in with your comments. Any other highlights of yours, do let us know. But Michael, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for jumping in. Like I say, it's not going to be full chats. So we'll kind of make it nice and brief. Guys, everyone else, if you want to jump in, like I say, it's just going to be a couple of minutes. Jump in, give us your highlights. Let us know what you're thinking. But no, Michael, I want to let you get off. Enjoy the rest of the show. Oh, he's gone. he's disappeared. Fair enough. He's made his own exit. That's fine. Okay, so let me go through, like I say, a couple more of my highlights. Then we had the Tripwire Awards, which was hosted by Joel Meadows of Tripwire magazine. I was invited down to take part as the host of that particular show, and I had such an absolute blast doing it. It was so much fun. we were very much still in lockdown mode, but in doing so, we did our best to kind of pull together and protect ourselves and really look after what we were up to, and keep making sure that everyone was nice and safe. We all stayed masked. It was my first kind of public debut as me in my slightly more slimmer fashion, which, by the way, it's starting to come back on. I think I don't know. I think the body's just going. Oh, so that's the level we're exercising now, is it? Okay, we'll come back on. So I don't know. But no, it was so much fun, especially when we had the likes of Martin Simmons winning for Best Artist. We had James Tiernan winning for Best Writer. And yeah, Rachel Smith, which was just a joy, because she actually came and attended the award ceremony, brought a couple of friends with her as well. And to have her in the room to win for Best Online Comic, best web comic for Quarantine Comics. It was a great reaction. She genuinely didn't think that she was going to win. She thought she would lose to Roger Langstridge, which is quite understandable because his daily strip is so much fun. But no, I think Quarantine Comics just set a whole other standard for keeping us going throughout the course of everything else. So it was a joy to do that. I then took part with a show. Well, I attended it anyway. It was a definite reversal of kind of not fortunes, but a definite change of how the whole thing was planned out, because we had ourselves MCon, which took place at Nottingham. If anything, because usually I would be there as a panel host. I would be there just kind of doing what I need to do and attend it. However, as it happened, MCon took on Caroline as the trader manager, which meant I went to MCon and I went on the Sunday to surprise her. And basically, I was the one that helped her out. I was the one that was not doing anything. I was wandering around and seeing what people were up to. And it was just so much fun. It was just so much fun to just kind of like attend a convention and not doing anything. So no, it was great to attend MCon, and what the guys got up to with that particular show was particularly fun. The having the 4 doctors up on stage as well: Peter Davidson, Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker, yeah, and why is his name? Come on, help me out, guys. The 10th Doctor. Is it the 11th Doctor? No, the 10th Doctor, the new movie Doctor. Yes, the Doctor Who, the movie Doctor. Paul McGann. Thank you. No, Andrew English. The name came to me literally as Andrew English reminded me. Yeah, Paul McGann. No, that was so much fun having those guys on stage and dishing a bit of dirt on a bunch of other people. It was just so much fun. That was such a great show, panel, as was John Rhys-Davies coming up on stage, and man, who just quite frankly I would listen to talking for hours. I know that a number of his appearances on, say, a couple of programs here in the UK about Brexit haven't exactly rubbed people the right way, but he has his opinions and he'll stick with it, and he will extol in a very courteous manner, and he's very gregarious, and you can't knock John Rhys-Davies for being John Rhys-Davies. So no, that was so much fun. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that as well, because yeah, that's the other thing as well. My DJing did rather well, but we'll come back to that. So yeah, it was a case of just kind of battling through and enjoying what we could of the year, especially when it came to the conventions. And there are some conventions which I want to talk about in particular. MCon was one, because what we got up to at that particular show, and certainly for Caroline's regard, was just a lot of fun. But also, I then got back into the main swing of things, and attended my own shows as well. So, meanwhile at commentary was just such a major aspect of my week. Meanwhile in commentary was a show that was put on by Simon Myers and a couple of others as well, pulling together his all of his contacts, everybody that he had on in his particular Rolodex of people, and he just called on every favor he could. And in doing so, created this real comic-centric and artist-centric show, which was just so much fun to attend. In this incredible surrounding as well. This is Commentary Cathedral, or the grounds of Commentary Cathedral. And yeah, inside, the attendees were really generous with their time. The guests were just really excited to be there, if anything, because it was a way for them to kind of break that spell and ease themselves back into it. There was a definite sense of when you attended Thought Bubble, with that amount of people in the Harrogate Convention Centre, there were those that had a real sense of trauma behind the eyes that hadn't done a convention. And then you had those that had attended something like Meanwhile, which had allowed them to just kind of ease back into it. And like I say, some really great talent in a fantastic setting. Nick Brokenshire there, Rachel Smith there. Just getting the chance to kind of interact with people and meet them up again. And also with some great panels as well. You've got Al Ewing and Kieran Gillen up on stage. You've also got this one here, the Star Wars Creators panel. My panels, by the way, are now up on the Meanwhile Festival YouTube page, if you want to search for that. I did the interview with Rachel Smith, which was just over an hour, talking about autobiographical comics. And also I had the rather excellent chaps from the original Drink and Draw Social Club, which was Dave Johnson and Jeff Johnson, Skyping in or Zooming in to talk with just myself about DC, and it was just such a fun panel, and it was well worth taking part. Just really good. Solicitor's Meg saying not seeing a lot of masks. I think that was just some unfortunate framing by myself. A lot of people were really well behaved at that particular show. The only one that didn't let me down, or the one that let me down in that regard, we'll come back to. We'll talk about that. Yeah, Solicitor's Meg, they did ask you to wear a mask at Meanwhile at commentary, but when in, it wasn't not really enforced. It's very difficult to enforce under a tarpaulin, I think, but also it was slightly more ventilated, so I think a lot of people felt a little bit more relaxed. But no, I think the majority of people were wearing masks, and certainly the creatives recognized that risk still there. Al Ewing, very much a case of that. Kieran Gillen, very much a case of that. The pair of them were very much protective, and as you could see on stage, there was some distance given, and everyone was being very respectful about what was happening on stage. Yes, and then we got to Thought Bubble. Like I say, it broke that kind of spell, and it was great to have Leanne D come over to the UK. She was here for the week before, so she got to spend time going around York, and we also went to OK Comics in Leeds. I basically walked the crap out of her, and her feet were like hamburger by the end of it, but it was so much fun to have her there. In fact, I think she's still here. Leanne, are you there?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we're going to try this again.
Okay, I mean,
but
I think
I can't go with the camera.
I'm just going to say, I think we're just audio for the moment, which is fine. We can hear you. That's great.
Yeah.
We can see you on screen. I mean, this picture here,
fine.
where you're in Leeds, this was at the beginning of our tour, and I don't know what your face was like at the end of our tour around Leeds, considering I walked you for miles, and I'm surprised you didn't punch me in the arm.
It was actually pretty good. It was the next day that messed me up, because the next day I went out and did that whole tour of York, where you got on the wall, and once you get on the wall, you can't get off the wall for a couple miles. And when I got back to the room, my feet, when I took off my shoes, were just full of blood.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But I mean, then we talk about Harrogate itself. I mean, you came over obviously to see other things. You came over to do other things and visit around the UK. But what did you make of Harrogate, and what did you make of the convention itself? Because I didn't I don't know really, and I'd like to ask this straight out to you, what it meant, how it met up to your expectations.
Well, I think it was a lot different than what I thought it was going to be. First off, there was a lot of people I wanted to see who had chosen just like 2 days before or a couple of days before not to go. So
Yeah.
that kind of threw everything off. And then I hate to say this, the little stumble that I had with the whole testing thing that the UK required me to do that last day, and that threw me off because I missed a whole morning of the convention.
Yeah.
So I missed a lot of good panels. It was a lot different than I thought it was going to be. I was expecting more something like the size of Comic-Con. I know that it's not possible, but I thought it was going to be more that size,
That
but
scale.
just comic book, but just comic book centric, So it was. I had tempered my expectations coming in, knowing that a bunch of people were not going to be there that
Yeah.
I had kind of planned on seeing. So, it was definitely well worth the visit. I mean, I will tell you,
Yeah.
everybody should go once at least. I would love to come back and see it when it's actually in its full regalia,
Yeah.
And not having to do
I
all
think
these
you
things.
definitely came to a thought bubble that was having to jump through hoops.
Oh, absolutely. And I didn't expect anything other than that. I knew that there was going to be issues.
Yeah.
And for what was going on, they did a fantastic job. There was only a few people that refused to wear masks. I'm looking at you, comic book
Indeed.
people in
Yeah.
Blackpool, but
Yeah. I'm fully aware of who you're thinking of.
yes. So I mean, considering what was going on, they did a fantastic job of pulling everything together and putting on a great show. They really did. So, I mean, I just really wish I wouldn't have missed those panels that I really wanted to see that Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And making
To
that
explain
long
to
trip.
everyone. Yeah. In the UK, over the course of around the time when Leanne came over, it was very much a case of you had to have a negative COVID test before flying out of the UK. At which point, for some strange reason, Leanne was directed to have her test at a place just outside of Bradford, miles away from the city centre, which ended up being in a place which didn't seem to be remotely up to the task. And I can thoroughly understand if Leanne just hated the UK after the administration, the bureaucracy, and quite frankly, the bullshit that she had to put up with. It was just, yeah, I'm stunned you still have positive thoughts about coming to the UK after that, to be fair.
Nothing is going to ruin my trip. That was a little stumble of it, but nothing is going to ruin my trip. I got to go to Scotland. I had a fantastic time in York. There was a couple places I missed out going, because of the whole testing, because I'd have to spend a half a day going to these different test sites. The UK government should have been a little bit better about telling you where a testing site was closer to you instead of saying, oh, that's really close to where you're staying. No, it's actually not.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No. I mean, considering that when you had your test when you got here, and you were based in York, and then it sent you to was it just shy of Sheffield or something? It was
Shipley. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It was just south of York. It was the next train stop down from, I can't remember.
Either way, it was it was ridiculous. If you feel frustrated and blighted by British bureaucracy and the government over here, trust me, you are joining a very, very long queue at this one, because we're right there with you. So
Yes.
don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Yes, so that's why I'm not going to let that ruin my trip. I did. Otherwise, I had a fantastic trip. I got to hang out with you guys. I enjoyed seeing Leeds and York and Scotland. It was a dream come true trip. So, I mean, there was a little stumbles here and there, but nothing was going to ruin it. And I will say that they did come through at the end where I was able to get the test before I flew. But had I known that, I would have just scheduled that test
Yeah.
going out in the first place in London, and it would have saved me a whole
It was
headache.
a whole
I could have just I could have easily gone back to London a little early on Sunday and tested, and then gone to my hotel and then flew out the next day instead of missing my appointment that I had at UCL. So, I mean, but you know,
I hear you.
everything was great. Everything was good. The food was good. The company was good. Everything was fun. I had a good time. I will say the best part about the whole trip was every time I kept telling people, well, I'm just going to go to Scotland, and everybody's face of going, what?
Yeah.
Was probably one of the best things about the whole trip, because it's like where I live, 9 hours is a long trip. So, 2 hours is nothing. That's across town for me.
Yeah. Well, we were not thinking that. We were thinking that was an epic trip, and that's exactly what you did. But you know what? The whole thing was an epic trip for you. So it was a pleasure to have you, and it was a joy to have you coming over to the UK. We can't wait for you to come back. And
I can't wait either. I really hope in the next couple of years I'll be able to come back to Thought Bubble when it's like full strength and everything's good and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you've got Solicitor Smeg here. Leanne has that resting go away Leonard pic in that facing that pic.
Oh, no, that is my natural resting bitch face. Sorry, it's just my face. It's naturally resting in that position.
Oh boy. Listen, I'm going to let you get off and enjoy the rest of your show, because
Okay,
I've got some other stuff that I want to get onto. But Leanne,
but I got to get off here anyways. My Wi-Fi is dying here, so let me get off here. Thanks again, Leonard. Thanks again to Caroline. Thank you guys for making me feel so welcome in the UK. You guys are top notch.
Well,
Good
it was
people.
a joy.
Thank you.
We can't wait to get back to seeing you when we come over in July.
That sounds great. We're gonna have a good time.
That's the plan. Okay.
Okay.
Take care. Look after yourself.
Leonard. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Fantastic. Yeah, well worth checking out. Like I say, what Harrogate did, it was for myself and for those that did attend, it was a show that did what it could to protect its attendees. I think my favorite story of that was when on the Sunday, a little girl, she must have been 2 or 3, dressed in a Spider Gwen costume, went to was taken to the door by her dad. Her dad was not wearing a mask. Dad turned around and said, I am not taking a test. I don't believe in this. I don't believe in COVID. He said, well, you can't come in then. The mandate is that you either wear a mask and you have to show as your vaccination, or you have to have a test. That's the way you get in. And he said, and he looked down at his little girl, and he said, so what do you want to do? And the little girl looked up at Dad and went, I want to go in the Comic-Con. So Dad had to take a test. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. I'm all right with it. Well done, kid. You helped. You did a good thing there. So there we go. Right. In contrast, then, we had Wales Comic-Con Telford Takeover. About the same intensity of people for the size of the building, at which point entirely the different approach. I certainly wasn't asked to show my vaccination card on the way in. I believe that you were when you, according to who I was speaking to, you were asked on the way in, but you weren't asked to wear a mask. It wasn't enforced. And for myself and Caroline, it didn't feel. For myself and Caroline, we felt like the only sane people in the asylum. I'm not going to criticize Wales Comic Con for that. I'm not going to criticize the building. I put it down to the mentality of the attendees that went in. And I think that's just down to mob mentality at the moment. And I don't know what to say about that. While the majority of us are wearing our masks and we're doing what we can and we're keeping our distance and we're taking our boosters and we're making every effort, the mob. I put a tweet out the other day. A person is sane and sensible and respectful. People are a crazed collection of idiots. And I still stand by that. And Wales Comic Con, for me, was a kind of proof of that. For the most part, though, I mean, we had a great time at the actual show itself and the people that were attending. So I was on stage. I actually thought I was going to be hosting the live stage on my own, but as it happens, I co-hosted with Tabitha Lyons. We also had some other hosts come on as well, but I still got to spend time doing a 45-minute to an hour panel with James O'Barr, the creator of The Crow, and I can't say fairer than that. And I also got the chance to have myself a great time with some amazing creatives. Gary Erskine was there, Sonia Leong was there. But yeah, we also had the Assassin's Creed panel, which was a lot of fun. And yes, Edward James Olmos and Mary McDonald from Battlestar Galactica, which was just such a lot of fun. Admittedly, all the Americans that went to Wales Comic Con were absolutely scared shitless of catching COVID. So they would never left, the mask never left their faces throughout the course of the entire situation. And in that regard, they certainly Edward James Olmos and Mary McDonald insisted that everybody that was in the audience for their particular panel were wearing masks. And as you can see there, the vast majority were behaving themselves and all wearing the masks the best they can. And I think at the end of the day, it was a Battlestar audience, and they kind of respect that that's what the creators want. And that's what the creators want. That's what the actors wanted. So that's what we wanted. Andrew English, Asylum is run by the inmates. Yeah, I'll go along with that. Also, we've gotten a lot of comments as well. I know that we've got ourselves Sarita P that's talking about a show that she attended, Anime NYCC. We're going to get into that because there's a bunch of things that she mentioned. So we'll get into it. Okay. Let's see what else I've got in my little folder. Have I got any more pictures here? No, I don't think I do. I mean, certainly with that's what I was going to show you. I was back to DJing. I was back to doing that and doing my DJing thing again. So I got to show off my new svelte look, get the new tie out and the new new suit. The new rig's up and running. It all sounds really great. And I was just really happy to kind of get the DJing back because that is where I feel comfortable. It's what I do and it's what I do best. So, you know, it was good to have that to hand. Okay. I want to talk about the other highlights for myself as well, because there was plenty in the way of pop culture to enjoy. Especially when it comes to films and TV. Dune, Spider-Man, as we've talked about. Dune was just something special, I feel. And as Michael says, it is a case of just the best version of Dune that we could have had. Again, I have just a couple of issues about the fact that it is about the 1% of the 1%, the absolute uber rich, arguing amongst themselves. You hammer that point home, however, in our current climate, when the people on the ground floor are making their voice heard about returning to work or not in the current climate. So there's definitely a sense of that. It's still, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more indulgence. I don't know if it's just somebody who's created, who's brought up on an art school training background, that if you're rich and you're stylish, that's grey slab walls with no artifice. Okay, that's somebody who's been watching way too much Ridley Scott movies. Very minimalist in that regard. But also the likes of in films, The Last Duel from Ridley Scott, which was absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't seen that yet, do check it out. Pig as well, starring Nicolas Cage. Highlight of my year when it comes to dramas. Great film if you get the chance to watch that, and also some great documentary as well. The Sparks Brothers from Edgar Wright, which is the profiling of the Brothers Mail, the band Sparks. I cannot stop watching that, and also Count Me In as well, which is a great documentary. I think that's currently on Netflix about drumming, and as somebody who likes his drums, that was a lot of fun as well. Let's have a look at this. We'll cover the conventions really quickly, and then we'll get into Kickstarters and the comics. Solicitor Smeg, any thoughts of the Toei mess going on? Can you let me know what that is? What we on about? What's the subject here? I don't know what that is. Please let me know. I have thoughts about the Kickstarter going to a crowdfunding. Going to a NFT model moving forward, and I think Kickstarter are going to regret that decision in a big fashion when the majority of creatives are going to just leave their service. I think that's a big mistake, but there we go. Okay, so let's talk about the element that has been caught up by s09e10. Anime NYC was a mess. With Karen Session asking what happened. Well, at which point some comments have come in, and let's go with this. So she says, I went for Saturday only, but it was way crowded. And when it was time to show the 1,000 episode of One Piece, there was not communication anywhere. They gave wristbands and didn't tell anyone. They then said people can line up at a certain time. And of course, people did beforehand, at which point they closed down the escalator to the first floor because people were lining up 4 hours before the panel, and the organization didn't anticipate the overwhelming crowd. Yeah, that's just poor communication. And again, I don't know if it's I think we kind of saw a little bit of that with Thought Bubble. Definitely saw that with Wales Comic Con as well, with many conventions just hitting play on their schedule and thinking that what the last 2 years haven't happened, and just coming straight back into it. And that's not how it works. You have to adapt to new changes and how people's tastes and behaviors have changed in those 2 years. Leon D, I will never back a Kickstarter again. I find that difficult because I am such a fan of Kickstarter. Let's dive into Kickstarters then, because hello there, Karma Savage. It's a pleasure to have you along. Welcome along. It's good to have you here. Yeah, Kickstarter for me, I've been incredibly lucky with the Kickstarters I've been backing this year. This is nowhere near all of the Kickstarters I've backed, and I've got a pile of them here. Starting with the Nocterra hardcover, the issue 1 working sketch book of Scott Snyder's and Tony Daniels' Nocterra. That is just such an incredible presentation. And that's how I started my year. But when you've got stuff like Turning Roads, the Irish folklore stories, which makes you think it's going to be kind of dry and boring, but it's very contemporary and it's more modern folktale stories, just little creatives, books, stories being put together by some incredible talent, the likes of Paul Carroll, Dave Henrik, Mike Kilty, Stephen Young, Aaron Fever, Josh Davidson, Richard Davidson, Colin Griffin, just some of the best Irish creatives putting their stamp on some incredible books. Yeah, what Paul Carroll has done with that is just incredible. If you get the chance to dig out all of these, like I say, most of these I think now have moved on to general publication. So if you can get hold of them, do check them out. So that's Turning Roads, which is Irish folk stories. From Vice's Press. This is just something very special. This is Erica Schultz and Carola Bareilles, The Deadliest Bouquet. It's kind of, let's think, Kill Bill meets Charmed, a group of sisters raised by an assassin mother. The mother has been murdered, and they go out on a story of revenge. It's excellent. It's just this really well rendered and well told story, and the artwork's amazing. I don't know if you don't quite see that, but the story is just brilliant, and it's just nicely self-contained and just really well put together. And like I say, what Erica and the team did as well with just supporting. It was just a really nice campaign. It was really well run, and just everyone just got really behind it. It was just really, really cool. That's The Deadliest Bouquet, currently available on Vice's Press. I backed this one, but I think so many other people did as well. The Most Important Comic Book on Earth. This is just another anthology series, but of just everyone and anyone on the planet when it comes to comics just involved, put together by Paul Goodenough, and featuring, I mean, the likes of it's when you've got an index of contributors at the back and it is 3 pages long. It's just immense. Jim Campbell, I mean, let's just go, I'm just glancing now. Brian Azzarello, Peter Gabriel, Cara Delevingne, who else we got? Just going to Jock, Todd Klein, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Tula Lote, Ricky Gervais, Ben Oliver, Yoko Ono, Peter Milligan, Alan Moore. It is a tome and a half. If you get the chance, pick it up. It's £20, and you can buy this. Go and search for The Most Important Comic Book on Earth. You can find it on Amazon.com as well. Very, very, very cool indeed. Shortly after the Nocterra book came through, I had a real double punch of big, weighty tomes. True War Stories, Alex de Campi book, which we did a profile on the show. That was so much fun. But shortly after that, this came through my door, and is still just the most weighty piece of book that I have backed. I did a full profile of this as well. This is Duncan Jones, Maddie, Once Upon a Time in the Future. Great artwork, incredible talent on display, and yeah, it's available right now. Fully expect to see an adaptation of this at some point, because it just holds up as a real epic cinematic story. Maddie, Once Upon a Time in the Future, Duncan Jones and Alex de Campi, again, doing an amazing job on that. I'm just, like I say, just pulled a bunch of them just to one side. Let's have a look at what else we got here. We also had, I'm just trying to. I've got all sorts of bits and pieces here. MPCT as well, with some great prints as well, which I was a big fan of. The MPCT finished its epic run, so it's now came in a nice little binder. So that was rather cool. We have ourselves Cuddles from Jed McPherson and Marco Perugini and Shambanan. A nice little local crime story, but some really well-told story. Again, great artwork, put together by a bunch of creatives. So the artwork kind of changes as it moves through, but it also has full, like a little prose story in the back, some script to page. It's a full package, and I really appreciated that. It just didn't kind of stop with the publishing of the book. It gives you a little bit more of that evolution of the process, which involves the Kickstarter process itself, which I thought was rather cool. Jordan Thomas with Weird Work as well, with Shaky Kane and Letter Squid. another great story. It's been a pleasure to have backed that. That was another great campaign. What else we've got? Yes, this just tickled the music fan in me, and another one that I would heartily recommend you trying to dig out. This is Disco Noughts. Just search for it by Stevenson and Bellowcamp. It's just so funky. It's just such a funky little story. I mean, I think the variant cover kind of gives a bit of a clue of the tone to the whole thing. Yeah, it's just really, really cool. If you get the chance, check it out, because yeah, what they did with it and what they did with the campaign as well was really cool. And I think last but not least, just to kind of wrap up, I kind of got this at the beginning of the year, but Philip Bond did a second volume of his Ink series, which is a collection of his kind of series of 8cm little ink drawings. And just to pull out by an example, there we go. There's Mary Jane. So that's rather cool. But like I say, it's just every single one's frameable. They really are. Every single one was just amazing. What I've been very, very lucky. I haven't had a duff Kickstarter campaign. I haven't had one where it's just kind of failed, or it doesn't look right, or it doesn't hold up. Just some really great artwork. Let's see what we've got here. I'm trying not to damage them. Let me just great artwork by great creatives, and I've just been incredibly lucky across the board that every single one of these has just been so much fun to back. The John McCrae art book was amazing. The Elsa Chaterier Volume 2 was amazing. For myself, Kickstarter has been a lifeline into seeing creatives doing creative work. And like I say, it's going to be hard to follow that forward with the new Kickstarter process. We got people who are talking about this on the chat. Aaron Neighbors, yeah, I have a pile of Kickstarter books too. Hopefully I can make a dent over the holidays. I get you, man. I've got so much to get through, and it's just been fun to follow. Leanne D, look, I've got some great stuff this year on Kickstarter, but I cannot support crypto. All crypto does is help people hide money and destroys the environment. For me, it's a Ponzi scheme. It's those that got in early. It's just like Bitcoin. Whoever got into Bitcoin at the start, fine. Everyone else is just getting the trickle down, and that's not how it works. Solicitor Smeg, fair use rules. They just did it to make an example of him. Oh, right, this is something else now. This is, I'm guessing. Oh, it's the talk that he's on about earlier. Toei mess. Okay, we'll get into that. We'll come back to it. Andrew English, I prefer Kickstarter to the other ones. Kickstarter takes money if hit target. The other, I can't remember, it will take money even if not hit the target. And you most likely not get anything you paid for. That would be in Indiegogo. Yes. I know some people who do Indiegogos to raise that production capital, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get your return. I understand that. Andrew English, I've never had a Duff Kickstarter either. I've had fail to hit target, but no Duff ones. Yeah. I'll back you up on that one. And then last but not least, for myself, it's been all about the comics as well, because even in mainstream comics, it's just been, someone posted on Twitter the other day that once again, we've been having that conversation that everyone's just been doing the doom and gloom that comics will not survive. And we are once again doing this failing of and comics are going to die, and comics are dead, at which point you look at the sales and you just go, that does not equate to what you're talking about. Anyone who says that comics are dying doesn't own a comic book shop. Those comic book shops that have evolved and continue to look at new markets and how to promote themselves, they have seen and reaped the rewards. Certainly when it comes to manga, to all ages comics. Those numbers continue to rise, and comics and comic stores, like Leanne says, are doing fantastic. And that's been supported by some incredible books as well. Just going down, I've just put all these completely off the top of my head. These are books which I've been reading, and let's see, I think I've got about 10 here. So these are not my top 10 choices of the year, because there are other books as well which I could easily call on. Monsters by Barry Windsor Smith, which is just epic. Like I say, a couple of the ones that I supported on Kickstarter, it's just been mind-blowing to read. But certainly for the mainstream ones, Rorschach. Then again, this is a Tom King thing. Tom King has done some amazing books. I mean, I've got to hand right here, Strange Adventures. This has just been a great read. Admittedly, it's a little bit like Tom King's more recent work when it comes to his limited series runs. So, for example, I mean, there's a couple of books that he's done. I mean, The Vision was one which had a little bit more of an engine to it, but what he did here, this was more of a character piece. So it was great to spend time with these characters, but my word, it was hard work. But it was so rewarding to get there. It was the journey that was worth treading on. And what Tom King did with that book is amazing. But no, Rorschach, again, that was a slow burn. But again, what they did with that story and the artwork as well was, for me, a highlight. And also just considering that it could have just be seen as a Watchmen money grab, Tom did something different. He did something special. It's a little bit like the likes of with the actual Beyond Watchmen. There was creatives there that decided that yes, they knew that what was going to get that what they were going to be accused of just being this company shill, this DC Comics project just to keep the money out of Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' hands. But what they then did for Beyond Watchmen just took it to another level. And that's what they did with Rorschach. Just an incredible book indeed. And if you get the chance, all of these, if you get the chance to check out. Department of Truth, there's only so much I can keep hyping about this particular story. Martin Simmons is just gone next tier. I mean, he was a bloody good artist to start with, but his work on Department of Truth is just god level. He has joined the ranks of Dave McKean and Bill Sienkiewicz, and it's just stunning. It's so rewarding to see both of them, James Tiernan IV and Martin Simmons, just reaching for the stars and absolutely nailing it. Absolutely incredible. Green Lantern, Liam Sharp and Garth Ennis doing a great job. Although that for myself was more of a Liam Sharp result. Yes, Garth Ennis did a great job on the script, but yeah, Liam just knocked it out of the park with Green Lantern. Wonder Woman Amazonia, that's more of a team effort. So Kelly Sue DeConnick and Phil Jimenez. It's only one issue in, but my God, I'm sold already. That is going to be an award-winning book as of next year. I guarantee you that is going to be in awards contention. Wonder Woman Amazonia is just astonishing. What else have we got? Superman, Son of Kal-El. If anything, for the bravery of having a new Superman and what they're doing with Jonathan Kent, it could have just been, let's have a new Superman. But no, he's where Clark Kent accepted he is the man of tomorrow. He wants Jonathan Kent to be the hero of today. And that's just very, very cool. That was just very, very well done. Nightwing is just one of the funnest take on a mainstream character, with some of the best covers ever by just some, I mean, Ronaldo's just knocking it out of the park. If you get the chance, Nightwing is just amazing. Nightwing issue 9 with the second printing is just iconic comics. Just amazing. We only find them when they're dead. Let's come out of the mainstream. I mean, what I've talked about there, Rorschach, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Nightwing, Superman. That's 5 titles. For a company that everyone seems to think is in the dust with DC Comics this year have been absolutely killing it. They've just done such an amazing job. But let's come out of it. Let's go to some of the indies. We only find them when they're dead. Simone Di Meo and Al Ewing with Gods in Space. Just a beautiful tone poem of a book, which is just beautifully rendered. This ethereal artwork, matching what Al Ewing's doing with his words. Just beautiful, beautiful book. Something is Killing the Children. James Tynion the fourth again, but it's great to have a horror comic which delves into its lore. It's getting a little bit close to peeling the onion a little bit too far. We're getting a little bit too into that kind of Hannibal Lecter kind of sense where we're just exploring too much of his backstory and therefore he doesn't become frightening anymore. Let's hopefully just kind of keep it nicely distant. I'd like to see Witches come back. Apparently that's back in 2022. So we're looking forward to seeing Scott Snyder and Jock returning for that. But no, for now, Something is Killing the Children is a great horror story, as is Donny Cates's Baby Teeth. Now, I could have talked about crossover, but I think that was a great concept which has been a little bit over-egged, because there is so much you could do with the idea of comic characters coming into the real world, and then it's what the creatives get up to and how they respond to it and how people die and all this stuff. I think they just overcooked that particular omelette. Baby Teeth, however, is just an astonishing horror story published by Aftershock Comics. Well worth checking out. Homesick Pilots, British creatives doing an incredible job of ghosts inhabiting houses, inhabiting tech machina. So it just turns into this huge mashup, and all underpinned with this sense of real punk and rock and roll. Homesick Pilots is just beautiful and well worth checking out. Speaking of beautiful, it's only a limited run. It's 5 issues. And you know my love for Scotty Young. But what he and George Corona, every single time that Scotty does something, I think he's delivered his masterpiece. I thought I Hate Fairyland was his masterpiece. I thought, yeah, some of the other stuff that he's done was his masterpiece. Me You Love in the Dark is just this love letter to the creative process, to how a relationship affects that creative process, about control, about boundaries, about reclaiming your sense of self. My God, it's just incredible. Me You Love in the Dark is just so impressive. And that's from somebody who I'm constantly impressed with already. George Corona does great work, but Scotty is just, he poured that one from his veins. Absolutely stunning. Okay, other books as well that I will jump out as well. Mention Time Before Time from Declan Shalvey, and a whole great creative team as well. Great time travel story that if you are very much a fan of Looper, you'll definitely get your head around Time Before Time. That Texas Blood from Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. A great Western noir story. I'm not a fan of either of those two kind of topics in comics, but I seem to really gravitate towards this. But I think that's also down to Jacob Phillips, who is one of those that if he's not too careful, he could be supplanting his father when they talk about the artist Phillips in comics. Sean Phillips is a master, an award winner when it comes to comic creative. Jacob Phillips is chasing up from behind, and he's doing a very good job of it. Sweet Paprika as well, which is just cheeky, sexy, horny. This is Mirko Andolfo. Great artwork, great story, great attitude. Not for the weak of morals, and certainly not for the kiddies. Sweet Paprika is just a lot of fun. It's one of those which you read and you get into the mood, and you don't want your parents in the room when you're reading it. You know what I mean? It's just, it gets those juices glowing. It's yeah, something very special. But there you go, Sweet Paprika, if you get the chance. Let's have a look at some comments here. Aaron Neighbours. Though I mostly read indie, I'm excited to read the Silver Surfer Rebirth books with the return of Ron Mars and Ron Lim in January. Into the Blue Mist. I'm one issue away from completing my 70s run of Howard the Duck. If anyone has a giant man-sized man thing, stop snickering at the back. Number 4, then let me know. Keep that on screen for a little while longer. Do jump in. Leanne D is saying as well, she's got to get off. Kid is home from university. Want to spend some time with her. Want to wish you all a fantastic holiday. Sending love to you all. Leanne D, we love you dearly, and we can't wait to see you again. Sarita P, that Green Lantern was great. Just great artwork, wasn't it? Liam Sharp is just amazing, and he deserves to be talked more about when it comes to creatives and artists. I mean, when you talk about great comic artists, Liam Sharp needs to be talked about more. And yeah, Sweet P is also mentioning Once on Future, which is a great take on King Arthur. It's a great take on Arthurian legend, but there's more to it. It really goes. It's more Kieran Gillen and Dan Mora's love letter to British folklore. It's not just King Arthur. Talking about Once and Future as King Arthur is like talking about that film of oil on top of a very deep lake. Once and Future dives into that lake and really gets itself well and truly wet. Yeah, Once and Future, great story. So there you go. Look at the time. Good God, I only wanted this to be a really quick one, but we're kind of diving in. Other comments as well. Let's dive into some other comments as well, because yes, something that we can bring up as well, Sarita P, is George Perez's announcement. There's not too much to say about this, apart that George Perez has announced that his pancreatic cancer has come back. He has accepted that this is what is going to cut his visit to our earthly plane short, far too early. He's accepted it, and in doing so, he is going to leave us on his own terms. For that, for his work in the past, and for his dignity throughout all of this, I can only stand in awe and applaud him. George Perez has been, will be, and will continue to be a legend in comics. And right now, thank goodness, he's alive enough for us to share that with him and to tell him how much we love him. Can't say fairer than that. Anything else that we've got? Yes, let's very quickly talk about this. This is Toei, brought to my attention by Celeste Smeg. Let's read through. They're an anime production team that do Dragon Ball and Digimon and other big ones. They copyright striked 150 videos from a YouTuber who was doing reviews of episodes but was in compliance with YouTube. Fair use rules. Oh, right. They just did it to make an example of him. With YouTube's rule, it will take him till he's in his 60s to clear all his videos. In his 20s right now. I don't think it's well. Yes, obviously the studio has got stuff to answer for there, but I think YouTube, for me, I know I'm streaming on it now, but I believe, well, that's just almost by incidental. I'm doing it via StreamYard. I think YouTube is a broken platform, in much the same way that I think Spotify is broken, in the same way that any great idea has been corrupted by bureaucracy and by money. It's, for me, all I have to do is take a deep sigh, because that's just the way it is. Cryptocurrency could have been the savior of modern money movement, and instead it is just this really kind of, it just takes the love out of it and replaces it with, like I say, bureaucracy and currency, and that is just, it's horrible. Okay, the last thing I wanted to mention then. I don't think he's watching right now. He hasn't chimed in. Dan Berry, who no doubt is either resting and relaxing after several weeks of hard work, attending conventions and doing what he does, and no doubt incredibly busy leading up to the Christmas and festive week. Created something at the beginning of 2021 as part of our time in lockdown. He wanted to showcase creatives. Sandbox was a section of the Convention Collective where I decided, tell you what, Dan, that's your place. That's your sandbox. It's your little corner of the internet where you can put the stuff that you like. You can contribute and collaborate with anyone you like, and you can put up what you want. And in doing so, he created Sandbox Spotlight, which is just, for me, one of the things. Thing is, I can't claim credit for it. You know what I mean? All I can do is just say it's on the site that I happen to host and pay money for hosting, but I cannot claim credit for this at all. What has been done by Dan and by the creatives that have taken part, it's turned into this virtual artist alley, which has got some really great names on it, and it's just been a joy to get the people that we've got talking to us, and reading the responses and reading the reactions have just been beautiful. If you want to head to theconventioncollective.com /sandbox-spotlight, check out some of the profiles. There's a whole bunch on there which I haven't had the chance to. I'm going to do that when we finish here. Jump in, have a look at it. It's just been a joy to see this thing grow and grow and grow. Just amazing. And I've been so happy that it's been done on my watch. And I can't wait to continue to see it grow. If you get the chance, theconventioncollective.com /sandbox-spotlight. And if you want to take part, email me, DM me. If you're creative and you're watching this, if you happen to fall across this on the internet, if you want to be showcased, I'm really happy that we got this opportunity to shine the spotlight on some amazing creatives, and I'm really happy with it. That is the Sandbox Spotlight. Thank you so much indeed to Dan Berry, and indeed to all of the contributors that have taken part on the conventioncollective.com, because you have made the site what it is. Sure as hell hasn't been me. But there we go. Right. I think that's about it. In looking back, 2021 has been a very odd year because any other time you would feel unsettled and uncertain about the future, and that would just it would just rattle you, and you would just feel uneasy and you'd feel tense. But for me, it's forced us to recognize that change can, in fact, be for the best. Maybe leading up to now, we have been a little bit too complacent. We have been too safe. We have been backed into a corner by this global pandemic, and the way that some of us and the majority of people have responded has been so positive, so creative, so adaptive, and just not letting this thing beat us has been one of the most positive and reinforcing things I've seen. And I can't wait to see what this has lit the fire under for us to keep moving forward. I'm desperately optimistic, and I'm hoping I'm not desperately naive. But that's me. There we go. Andrew English, I echo your sentiments, sir. He says, have a happy Christmas and a happy New Year. I hope the new lockdown will not affect you badly. Yes, I know that we've got a fair amount of that possibly on the cards. See you next year. Yes, we will not be having a show next week on the 26th. We're going to take the time out because I've got a little bit of work to do as well. So we're not going to be here on Boxing Day. It's going to be a chance for me to enjoy my time with my family. Hopefully you will as well, with your friends that you can, even if it's in a virtual space. Hopefully you can spend time just talking and spending time, even online, with your friends and family. We are back on the 2nd of January, 2022. Back next year. So in 2 weeks' time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. Hopefully you can join us for the continuation of season 9 of Talkin Con, A Cup of Tea with an Englishman in San Diego. As always, thanks again to everybody who's watched over the course of the last 12 months. And again, thank you so much indeed to everybody who has been supporting on patreon.com/EnglishmanSTCC. Again, I don't take any pennies from that at all. It goes to paying the licenses. It goes to paying the subscriptions and the stuff that we need to run the site. And it pays our contributors. And they've been very grateful. Dan's been very grateful. And I've just been along for the ride, just like you guys have. So for that, thank you so much indeed for your time. Thanks for your patience. Thank you very much indeed for your generosity. Take care. And hopefully we'll see you once again. 2022. Let's kick the new year well and truly in the nads. How's that sound? From me to you. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.